This is part 2 in the series of how I deal with scraps. So come on in and let's make some cards. Hello everybody, this is Julia Laird with Senior Susie Stamps, and I'm glad you came to visit with me today. I'm working on a special Sunday scrap series, and this is the second in the series. This is the stamps that I have used. I used part of this one. It's a Woodware Craft FRS 842, and I just kind of like this diagram of the old car. Today I'm going to work on some birthday cards for some men using scraps. I also use this silhouette stamp. Let's see, that is FRS 834, and then I had pulled the Rooster stamp out for a focal point on this set. Now this stamp doesn't go with it, but just to save a little space in my drawer, I am keeping it in here. And this is a rustic Rooster Stampin' Up set. It's I don't know what year it is. It's still available frequently. I see it on eBay. I also used this little warm hello stamp, and it is out of a Close to My Heart set. Don't know the name of it. I've had it for a long time, bought it used. But these little small stamps like this are really helpful for doing just a little small sentiment tag on cards. And these little hearts and everything, just because of their size, make them helpful for just a little accent piece. The papers we're going to use today came out of this Ideology Menagerie from Tim Holtz, and I have all my scraps up in here, and I just pulled some out. I also pulled some other papers. This is from Paper Wishes. It's called Back Porch, and so we're going to use some of that. And I pulled my scraps out of some paper from Paper Wishes called Evanstown, and from this Ebony Color Me paper, and I think that also, oh yeah, it's hot off the press. It came from Paper Wishes as well. I'm using some neutral colors. This is Astro Bright Honeycomb and Astro Bright Concrete. So this is all the papers that I have, the scraps, and I got a little ribbon pulled. I think you can put ribbon on men's cards. I don't think you have to shy away from that. So these cards that we're going to use today, make today, that doesn't go with it, does it? But that one does. Are one of them is for my brother that turns 80, of all things. And so just because he's really, really special to me, I got the script typewriter out for him. He'll probably see this video before he gets his birthday card, but that's okay. I don't mind. So we've got 3 cards going here, and let's just start with this pile. When I pulled the paper out, I was just looking for some neutral colors to make a man's birthday card, and so this is what I ended up with. And I found a half sheet, and I'm going to score that so that it is a portrait style card at 4 1/4 inches. This is an A2 size. So this is just going to be kind of a loosely layered card, and I'm going to try to use as much of these elements as I possibly can. I made a little focal point with the vintage car stamp and the silhouette flower stamp because I didn't want to have two birdhouses. I had this little scrap of that honeycomb paper, and I think I'll mount this up on that. I have used a decal trimmer on the edges of these, so let's go ahead and get this mounted up because it will be one of the players in this card for sure. And you'll see I'm just using a little scrap piece here. I still think I want to offset these just a little bit. I'll glue this down. I found some twine that's kind of neutral beigey color that was in my mother's things. My mom was a weaver, and this was part of her stash, so we'll try to remember to tell my brother that if he misses this video, because it's kind of like he's getting a card from Mom as well. She's been gone for a while now. But her art supplies live on in my studio, and I think art supplies are kind of like plants. They can be passed on, and you have the memory of the person when you're using them, which makes them very special. Okay. So now I was kind of thinking that this guy might go kind of right up in there. Have you ever had a friend that liked to watch all the fields and barns for barn finds? This is what this card kind of reminds me of, is an old jalopy in a barn find. Let's see about this layout, how that's going to work. This is a piece of ephemera from that back porch series of papers. Let's see. I wasn't sure about this warm hello, but I believe it's going to work. I put a little spot of tire on it. And maybe square that up. I think I'll square that up and then put it up on a foam square. Trying just to get placement here. When you're not following a pattern and you're just kind of making it up as you go, sometimes you have to give yourself a little extra planning time to make a card. I like to pull my elements together sometimes with a top layer like this. Let's see if we can use one of these little strips down in here. I don't think we need it, do we? All right, this one's ready to go down. So I'm pretty sure of that. And then these. This one has a little ticket on it. Retain this seat coupon. And that's why I wanted to use it. I'm going to pull it over to the edge with that other one. And then I believe I'm going to put this up on some foam tape as well. All right. Get my tweezers. And I think I'll do the bow up instead of the script on this one. I have this little tiny piece that's got some interesting script on it, and I think I'm just going to glue it down. Oh, my glue bottle has stoppered up. To work on that in a minute. I think these kind of loose layered up cards have a lot of interest, and it helps use up scraps, which is the whole point of today's video. There. Now, this is the piece that I have for the inside. You're not old, you're vintage. Ah, I hope he gets a kick out of that. And I'm wondering if we could maybe do a little topper like that. How about it? Let's go ahead and put that on and then trim it before we put the layer down. And you can see that I kind of ghosted the car onto this as well. That's a nice little set of stamps. It's got several different size cars on the stamp set. So you can pull, I think I'll trim those off. Yep, I like that. Now, I have a little strip here that may brighten that up just a little bit. And kind of, yeah, I think I'll try that. It just gives another little dimension there and uses up that strip of paper. Okay. Now I'm wondering about making a little twine bow to go on that. Let me get my bow maker out here. And I don't want anything too foofy, but this little bow that's here is a double eared bow, so I think I'm going to make one kind of like that. Let's just see. One thing about it, if we don't glue it down before we look at it, we can always take it off. Well, I like that. It's this little card needs a little adornment, I think. And I like it up there. All right, I'm going to get my glue dot. When I do my glue dots on twine, I kind of like to roll them a little bit and make them a little smaller so that they don't stick out from underneath the glue dot. I mean the little twine ball. And then I put them on my project. I don't do this with ribbon, I just do it with twine because I think it's easier. And then you can press your little twine knot in there so that it'll stay well. I like that card. And I don't really think for a birthday card it needs anything else than just that. So, there's one done. And we still have some little scraps left over, so I'm going to add those to this little pile over here. Let's go to card number 2. Now this uses the Astro Bright Concrete, and this is from the Paper Wishes pack. What's it called? Evanstown, E-V-A-N-S. And I had these little clock pieces, so I thought we'd use those. And this piece, let's see what the size is on that. It's 4 inches. So I think I'm going to cut this to 4 by 3 3/4 and see what we have left. 4 by 5 1/4. Let's get that right. Don't want to cut it and then have to make another set of scraps out of it, do we? And on this one, I thought maybe we would layer all the layers up. So I think I'll back up on that and take another 1/4 inch off both sides of this one. That'll give us plenty of room to layer up. So I'm going to do 3 3/4 by 5. There. So my thought is maybe we can get a little layer onto all of these pieces that we're going to add by, well, maybe not. We'll see. Let's see, I was thinking we could probably, let's try it and see. What I'm trying to do is to lay these out so that I can use this scrap of Astro Bright concrete paper and get it used up as well with just a little small border around. And we'll just let the paper determine how many layers we get out of it. And see, looks like this piece we could use perhaps right here if we cut a little bit off of it. I'm going to go ahead and cut these layers, and I'm going to use the guide to cut these layers with and see if that doesn't kind of even them out a little bit. That way I can layer my card up well. I got those a little close when I laid it down, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. This card is about right for a 1/4 inch layer, just so you know, all the way around. Okay, let's see what we have here for layering material. Yeah, I think that'll work. So that'll give us 3 little layers on this card. Oh, 3 little layers. And I just tore it, so let me see if I can cut this one just a little smaller. I'm using the line in the paper to cut that. There's a geometric design on this side of the paper. There. Now we'll cut this layer off as well. Yeah, I've got a few scraps that may go back. One thing about it, you don't have to layer absolutely everything that you put down on a card. Let's get a white card base on this. I think I'll do a top fold on this one and start that process of getting things layered down. I think this is really nice paper for a men's birthday card. It's got a lot of color in it that gives it a lot of possibility. Let's see. May want to take that and then layer some in on top of that. I have a focal point, and I thought I would go ahead and use this extra clock on there, so let me get that put up on a piece of foam. Figure the numbers out. There we go, right about like that, I think. There. Yep, I like that. Don't like that. I'm going to trim the layer down on this one just a little bit. Now I'm going to try to visualize my grid lines here and put this one kind of in the middle of the 8 and let it fall down in the middle over there. That's fine. Then I believe I'm going to put this one up on dimension. I have been watching some YouTube videos on scraps and how to use scraps just to see kind of what's out there, because I hate to duplicate things. But I've seen some really good scrap videos, and I've tried to put them in to my playlist under scrap cards as I find them, so it would be kind of a nice little reference point for folks if they're trying to find some good videos. So I think we'll put that one right about there. Let's see. It's birthday time. And a warm hello. And some gears. Gears are wonderful additions to men's cards. They really make it a lot more masculine, I think. Okay, so I'm going to glue this side and put foam on this side, and that'll even out the layers. Unfortunately, the paper that the the clock is printed on is not very heavy. Looks like I got a little tail of that sticking out. Now, let's see. There. That's fine. This is always a challenge for me, is to figure out where to put these kind of little things. Maybe put it in with the gear pattern. How about that? Yeah, I kind of like that, and I'm going to put that just glued down because this is already at its second layer here. And I believe I'm going to do this one. Oops, can't do it that way, Julia. I'm going to do this one up here. I believe I'll elevate that one. Let's see. Yeah, I like that. There we go. And then its birthday time can go right down flat on that. I'm going to black the edge because I don't like that little, where I hand cut it, I don't like that little white line showing. So I'm going to take my Sharpie pen and just black right around this edge to get rid of that white. Yes, I like that better. Now the question is, elevate or not, elevate or not? I think not. I think that card has a lot of other elevation on it. Now I had pulled this ribbon, but honestly I don't think that card needs it, so I'm just going to put that back. I think it's time to call it quits on this card. Put a little piece on the inside perhaps. Let's see what we got. Maybe this little yellow strip here will be nice down here on the bottom. I'll just flip it over and use the part that is on the front, just for some continuity, because we got a lot of pattern going on here. There. So on this card, with some commercial focal points and just some very simple layers using the size of the scrap pieces that you've got, you make a really nice little men's birthday card. Here we go. And I'll stamp the inside of this when I get ready to send it. But there it is. And I don't really know that it needs any additional embellishment. So there's card number 2. Now, for card number 3, I'm going to put these scraps back away because they are not of the same patterns. And look, I'm throwing this scrap away. I want y'all to know that. Oh, I'm a maniac about it. Because these little strips of paper are just as expensive per square inch as the pieces that you cut and put on a card. So if you kind of keep that in mind, then the concept of using scraps kind of grows on you. Especially when you give all of your cards away for donation, it does make a difference. So I had this scrap piece of the honeycomb, and I have these. I made a little focal point because of the chicken wire in these 2 scraps. I thought we would use the little rooster, and I went through with a little gray pen and put the little dots on that because I thought the white was just a little too stark. We're going to use this same warm hello sentiment again. I wanted to pull it together. Let's see. Try this and see. I'm trying to find a spot where the little chicken wire kind of can go back together a little bit before I cut it to size. There we go. I think that'll work just fine. Now I'm going to put a piece of tape on this just to hold it. And this is my permanent tape. And I know I'm going to put this focal point kind of up in the middle, so it doesn't bother me just to tape it right there and use it that way. So now let's get the decal trimmer out this time and see. I'm going to make the first cut just so that we have something to work with. Now, this looks like it's going to be 3 3/4, but it's going to be smaller than that if we use the decal trimmer. So it's going to be 3 1/2 on the width, and so we're going to drive the rest of it off of that 3 1/2 width into the layer pattern. So 3 1/2 is 3/4 off of the card size of 4 1/4. So I'm going to back the 5 1/2 down 3/4 of an inch to 4 3/4, and that makes your proportion right for your card. Now I've got this put together, and I'm going to put a piece of tape on the back now that goes down the entire length to hold it stable for us. Now, I've got this little scrap here, and it's already got a little decal cut on it. Let me get a card blank out. This is another top fold, and I think we'll use that. Okay. So it's going to look kind of like that. I think I'm going to go ahead and run my Sharpie pen around this layer, and that'll bring up the decal edge on this piece because it kind of disappears a little bit, and I want it to show. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece on. I got my tape runner over the edge there a little bit. Let me roll that back where it won't be a nuisance. There we go. Now I'll set that in, and all I'm going to do is make this corner match, and then I'm going to hold on to it and bring this corner in line, and that should line up everything else. Okay. Now I'm going to glue this one down. And I'm going to go ahead and put some extra glue, tape runner, on this because of that taped centerpiece, just to kind of hold the paper in place. And I think once we put this down, I don't think you'll ever notice that join at all. There. And see, by blacking that edge, it really makes it stand out here now. And we use those two pieces of paper together. That uses them up. And then our little chicken here, I'll kind of need something to anchor that into, I think. And I kind of like that. That also will give me a little spot to put, I've got some green, dark green twine that I thought would be nice with that. So let's go ahead and use this piece here. And that does not have the decal edge on it, which is nice. And I'm going to put this in the middle, I think, of the card. So what I'm doing here is shoving my edges of my card past my inch markers there, so that I can go right to the middle and be pretty sure that that's going to be the middle of the card. And then I'm just going to trim the tails off. And then this little guy will go here. And let's see what we want to do with this. I don't remember. I think this was the 1-inch punch. Let me get my 1 1/4 inch punch. I'll be right back. So let me see if there's something that, maybe this little wood grain on the back, and that'll give us a nice little background for this little sentiment. And we can kind of snuggle it up in there. And I think it's going to be fine. I believe I will black the edge of this first circle. Just give it a little more dimension that way. Creates a shadow of its own. And there's another little piece of scrap used. Okay. I believe I'm going to pull the tape backing off of this because I'm pretty much ready to set that, I think. And it's going to go in the center of this card like a good little guy. Turn me loose. I think this needs to go over a little bit at the top right there. I love that stamp set. A friend of mine raises chickens from all kinds of different eggs, and ducks and geese, and oh gosh, I have no idea what all she's got over there. But she has some interesting chicken pictures on her Facebook page, I can tell you that. What I'm trying to do is get it on a little angle and cover up this corner and that little corner there. There. Now I'm going to tie a double loop bow. We'll see where that needs to go. I think maybe down in this corner is going to work better for that. Yep, I like that. Let's see where my glue dot went to. There. There we go. I'm thinking I will put a little stitching on that, and I have a gold pin here. Let's see. No, I don't like that. I'm going to make this kind of like a little piece of barbed wire, I think. Because, you know, farmers use a lot of barbed wire. Wherever the little intersections are, I'll put a little barb on it. There. And then I'll put a little strip on the inside. Let's see if we got a little small strip here that goes with that card front. Looks like I'll have to cut this one. Give me just a second. So this is the end of the third card. And it'll go in my card stash for boy birthday cards. So, here we go. Let's look at them, because I think they're a fun set of cards, and we used several scraps today. There they are. So I hope you have a great week, and that you'll come back next Sunday for my third in the series of scrap making cards. This is Julia. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.